This is episode
15.
15.
Number 15.
I've gotten that wrong a couple times, and people have called me out on it, so I need to make sure. This is episode 15 of Los Mariachi Sagas. We have our next guest on the show, Mr. Joe Baca. He is a part of Mariachi Cobre. Correct me if I'm wrong, but are you the musical director?
No, I'm the violin section leader.
Oh, so you're section leader, violins. Oh, okay. Joe Baca has been a part of Mariachi Cobre since 2013, right?
Yes. Yeah.
It's been
Yeah. Yes.
a few years.
Yes. 2013. Yeah.
2013.
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay.
Well, thank you for doing this.
Oh no,
yeah.
it's my pleasure. It's my pleasure.
Huge fans.
Taking the time. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Just introduce ourselves as well. I'm Alexis. I'm from originally from McAllen, Texas, down in the valley.
Okay.
And I'm Matt. I'm from Kyle, Texas.
Cool.
Here in Central Texas area.
Very cool.
Yeah, we met at Texas State. So I don't know if you've been down there.
Yep.
San Marcos.
Yep. I've been there. Yeah. I've been there one, not very. I think it was just once. But then, I mean, after all the years, these things start to bleed together too. So.
You guys travel a lot. Well, you and Steve specifically, right?
Yeah, we've been very blessed, man. It's been pretty cool as Texas has picked up on its mariachi education and really running with the state. With the state competition, UIL, and then with a lot of the workshops and all regions and stuff, we've had a pickup in a lot of classes that they wanted us to go and teach at or clinician or judge and stuff like that. So it's been pretty cool. The state of Texas has really shown them how it's done.
So would you say that's pretty unique with all the other states and schools in mariachi you travel, that Texas has pretty much the biggest kind of organization for schools in mariachi?
I would say so in a lot of aspects. Actually, I was a mariachi teacher for 5 years in El Paso, Texas, so far west Texas, before I joined Mariachi Cobre. And that was already on that part of Texas. I definitely felt that kind of breeding, competition based and excellence and standards and all that kind of thing. I definitely felt that going into teaching right off the bat, especially with my group of kids. I grew that program from, I think it was, if I remember correctly, it was about 60 students to about 135. And I was all on my own. So that was the tough part, So I've been there with the instructors. I was a part of a mariachi in high school, so I've been with the students, and now playing professionally. I, have kind of gone the whole circle, seen it from a lot of different sides, and I can say that Texas is doing a lot of things right, man. It's pretty neat to see all of the involvement of the kids, how hard they work, how hard the teachers work, and that they're willing to spend the time and the money. It's much needed. And they spend it on a lot of instruction. They spend it on a lot of clinicians. They spend it on their kids. So that's really, really cool to see all of that involvement for the benefit of the students.
Yeah, I mean, I know I wouldn't have gotten into mariachi. Now I play with groups here in the Austin area. I know I probably wouldn't have gone to Texas State if it wasn't for getting into mariachi in high school. And at first I wasn't going to. I was like, I didn't want to. Mariachi was not really in my family. Music is, but they did more of like conjunto norteño type of music. And
Right.
It was my high school, my freshman year. My director Juan Castillo, there in McAllen, he asked me if I wanted to join because I could play chords, but I couldn't read guitar music or rhythms. But he was like, "You can play chords. You'll figure it out." And I did. I figured it out. And he kind of just threw me in there. The very first song, I'm not kidding you, he gave me was Viva Veracruz Dos.
Oh, okay.
He was like, figure it out.
Wow.
And La Viquina and Viva Veracruz were the first two songs he gave me, and
Jeez.
I was able to figure it out somehow, and I stuck with it after that.
Cool. Well, sometimes you just got to get thrown into the deep end, you know.
Yeah.
That's something that as a musician who has kind of been around the not just mariachi, but rock and roll and jazz and orchestra. Which is how I actually started playing music, was through orchestra. Um, a lot of times we can think too much about things when sometimes we just need to go into the deep end, get things wrong, not stress out about it. And I've learned this. Actually in the recent year again. Had some hard knocks, but it's kind of a good thing, man. Because look at how long it's lasted now for you, and it's something that I'm sure you would never take back.
Right.
That's for sure.
So, yeah.
So then, where has music always been a part of your family? Do you have your parents or grandparents?
So with my family, my parents both played, but not professionally or anything. My mom played guitar in church. My dad has a great ear and did a lot of keyboards, and actually he was a pretty damn good conga player too. He had kind of that influence a little bit. So music was always playing in my home, but there was never any really like shoot for that. My dad worked for the federal government. And my mom, she was a vice president of a bank and then went back to school for pharmacy. My dad has like a few different degrees, and so it was never like something that was expected to go really further than just entertainment or extracurricular. Seeing that, I guess none of that stuff really interested me. All the stuff that my parents did, I respected them for it most definitely, but there was definitely a musical inclination with me since very, very young. Especially when it was live music, even if it was just a trio at a restaurant. It didn't matter how small or large the group was, or even just a guy singing, playing a guitar. I was just focused in on that all the time, to the point where my first time hearing mariachi live in concert, like a full. It was the Mariachi Spectacular in Albuquerque, and that was in 2000. When was that? 2015. No, not 2015. I'm sorry, 1995. Wow. Yeah. So 1995. Holy smokes. Yeah. Yeah. Big difference. Yeah. 1995. It was the 10th anniversary. Is what I was getting at of that festival, and Mariachi Cobre. That's where I first heard them live in concert, and from then on, since I heard them and their particular sound for whatever reason at 10 years old, I just I fell in love with that. I fell in love with the sound, and theirs in particular, for whatever reason. And so that's why it was very interesting. I remember, growing up, and my parents wanted me to play music. I don't think they knew I loved it, but I don't think they ever really expected me to try and take it to the next level, I guess you could say. And they actually kind of fought me on that one a little bit when I told them just straight up, I want to be a professional musician. And they were like, my dad was like freaking out. he still jokes about it to this day. He was imagining me under a bridge, and so it was kind of funny because a few years back we were playing it was a festival in Milwaukee, and I think it was the Mexican Fiesta, I guess. And they have all different artists and stuff. I think the festival's a couple days, and the fairgrounds, I guess, where they have this festival is like right next to a bridge, and so I was able to finally get my picture under a bridge playing my violin for him. So that was pretty funny.
Wow.
But yeah, we loved music a lot. We always had music playing. I was inspired a lot by the music that my dad used to bring into the home and listen to, and of course mariachi music after I attended my first festival. But it's strange because I'm the first generation, professional musician from my family, and I think that's just a testament to, it doesn't take much more than just a little bit of inspiration to change somebody's life so drastically. you know. And that, I mean, that's all it took for me, was just to watch, you know, my heroes on stage, whom I've had the benefit and the benefit of being able to play with. You know, when I joined Cobre, I still had a lot of the guys that were in the group, you know, when I would see them on stage, you know, since I was a little kid. So that would be Mac Ruiz, Randy Carrillo, Israel Molina, Miguel Molina, uh, Pablo Hector Gama. Let me see if I'm forgetting anybody. You know, so yeah, so all and of course our musical director, who's still there, Steve Carrillo. I got to play with all of these people that I got to look up to. You know, so you know, it was such an extreme for me to go from a household where, you know, music was something fun to now all of a sudden, you know, boom, you're like right, like I was talking before, right in the deep end, so to speak, you know, after going through teaching and stuff like that. So it's been quite a ride, making it from one end to the other, I guess.
I guess it's safe to say, you know, Cobre, they're your favorite mariachi, and now you get the opportunity to be a part of the group. That's
yeah. It's you know, it's interesting because now I've been with the group 7 years, going on 8 here pretty soon, and it's interesting now having kind of, I'm not the new guy anymore, and I'm verging on now, just, you know, based on just I guess the natural way that it goes, you know, guys retiring and such. You know, not necessarily one of the older guys, but one of the more in tune, I guess, with what the old culture of the group was, as opposed to the new culture the group was. I'm a little bit bored before the younger transition now with some of the newer members, but it's really neat to see it happen, you know, and because nothing has really changed, because our expectations musically have stayed the same, or have maybe even gotten a little bit more secure. But now noticing the younger guys coming in, it always brings a different life and a new breath of fresh air into the group. So it's been really neat to kind of be on both ends of that, you know, to have seen and been a part of the older structure of the group, and then being a part of the transition into the newer structure of the group. Yeah, it's really, really cool. It's really, really cool to witness and be a part of.
People have commented on that, actually. You know, I've talked to some other musicians around the Austin area, just in general, how Cobre sound has changed over the years. And one of the biggest thing is you guys are starting to play a little bit faster now. Just a little
That's a
bit
good
faster.
one.
Because so yeah, there's some older guys there in the Austin area who they would say Randy or Steve's, you know, philosophy is slow but perfect. But you get those notes right, you get those melodies right, but you know, take it calmer. But now you guys are starting to pick up the tempo a little bit.
Yeah, I guess you could say that. We still we still try and go with the non rushing, because like, especially with the sones, we really like the groove of the son. And when you take it too fast, you almost lose the groove, because then everything becomes really metric, you know. And that could be from a Jalisciense to the Jarocho, any of that kind of stuff. So, you know, when so we still have that idea of not pushing it, you know, but I think it's really well balanced now with the energy that the group has. So, you know, we have this moving and breathing, you know, thing, which is our sound and our music and our groove, that I think right now is pretty well balanced between that sense of control of the time and the tempo, but yet we still have bring that life and the drive to it, you know. So, but that's funny that you mentioned that, because that's good. I mean, I think that's a good thing. You know, it shows that a group is evolving and changing, which means that the group has life in it. So that's a good thing. That's cool.
To add to that, I feel like a lot of people don't understand specifically when it comes to sones. Like, they don't necessarily have to be fast, right?
Right.
Like, and so I think that's when, you know, Cobre has always been kind of a calmer, I guess, like, flow. like what you were saying earlier. So, I mean, one thing we take from you guys is they don't have to be fast. You know, it's how well you play the song.
Right, exactly. And the cool thing is since we do this on a daily basis, we have to. It's not like we're. Let me think how to put this. So we're not necessarily always gearing up for like a concert or a gig or that kind of thing. It's a continuous flow from us. So, and with 11 guys, all of us can feel individually different on a day-to-day basis. And so my philosophy is essentially and this is what I've told my section is, just give me what you have, give me everything you have for today, and I'll make whatever the best soup that I can with all the ingredients, I guess, if that makes sense.
Right.
Because on a day-to-day, I can't say, you played out of tune and you did this wrong and get your bowings right and this and that, because I make the same exact mistakes because I do it every single day. Steve put it very in a very good way when I first got here. He said, you have to start looking at this differently. So you kind of got to think of it like a batting average now.
Yeah.
It's not that like one shot deal and then it's over. No, it's a continuous thing. And so that's kind of where this philosophy kicks in. And and so like in regards to tempo, what I tell, we work with focal point systems. So I basically what that is I'm a section lead. Our guitarron player Alex is a section lead, and of course Steve is our trumpet section lead. And so we kind of turn 11 guys into a trio, so to speak. And so as long as that trio is within that window, it could be, you kind of think of it like of a batter's box, or not the box, but I guess where the pitcher is going to be throwing, right, his box. If we're anywhere in that window, then we're good. If we're like way outside, well then, we have issues, and that's when we have to kind of like, regroup and say, okay, what's going on? But as far as giving somebody a hard time because, they're slightly left or right of center, on a day-to-day basis, it's not such a huge deal anymore, and, and it's a really less stressful way to think too. Because, as a musician, you have to be patient with yourself. You have to enjoy what you're doing. And I think that really adds to the idea of, a lot of times Cobre, I don't know if anymore, but at least when I was growing up, I mean, when you thought of Cobre, you just thought they sounded exactly like their record. They sounded exactly like their CD. And so going into the group, that was a lot of mental pressure for me because I love the group so much and everything. I had this whole idea of like perfection, which ended up backfiring on me, personally speaking, and I can talk about that later. But nevertheless, thinking about things how they actually are on a day-to-day basis, that's something that I think every musician, especially, you young guys, and over in Texas, especially in the high schools where competition is huge, you can't lose the fun aspect of playing music. Because then, you're kind of continuing to play music in a lie state as opposed to the truth state. Playing music was never meant to be unenjoyable, or else nobody would have continued to do it. Nobody would have done it. It was meant to be fulfilling. That's what people would write songs in the first place, once they could actually, put out words or once harmony started to develop, especially after, you're talking about after, chants, what were chants meant to do, but to honor God. And, so if you look at the history of music, it was meant for something. It was meant for fulfillment. It's supposed to fulfill you, not make you miserable. And so a lot of times in competition state, especially, we can be looking at ourselves not in the way that we should. We look at ourselves with future eyes as opposed to the eyes of the present. So we can, say after a competition, Kids can look back, or the teacher sometimes will even do this to the kids, which is unfortunate, and say, there's this, and this could have been better, and this could have been better, and then the kids say, well, this could have been better. I remember one time when I was judging state, I think it was this last year, I walked into the room after hearing the kids, and I went to go clinic them, and I said, okay, so tell me about your performance, and all they could tell me was it could have been better, and I'm like, well, how? Well, no, it could have been better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, you know what I mean? And well, you got to give me, something here, and the truth is could it have been better? It could have, now you're thinking it could have been better because you just learned something after your performance. But during your performance, when you were actually doing everything that you could to do the best you could, can you honestly say it could have been better? No. If you look through the eyes of the present, it couldn't have been better. So when you're looking at it afterwards, you have to judge yourself fairly. So honestly ask yourself, could it have been better? Well, at the time, no. But can it be better next time? Yeah, sure. Why not? As the thing is when you're looking at this again, going back to how we operate in our tempos and everything, it all comes down to a matter of taste. And, that's why you get the groups, all of the groups sounding different, whether you look at, this could be every local group, and this could be even in the professional spectrum with Sol and Vargas and Camperos and Nuevoteca and all the groups. You get this variety of flavors that is distinctly mariachi, yet distinctly different. And like with me, I based myself off of Vargas when Hormiga had the group. And if you listen to his violins, man, they're smooth. They're so smooth. It's ridiculous. And there was a lot of good stuff that Pepe did too. So when I kind of combine those things, the energy that Pepe had, and the way that he drove Vargas, and then the smoothness and the caressing and the how do you say it, the finesse of when Hormiga had Mariachi Vargas, and then this is kind of like what I try to attain after, because it's just the most pleasurable sound to me, especially with the violins, and if you look at those groups, and you have people saying, oh, you got to play it like this and you got to play it like that, and sonas need to be like this, and sonas. Well, no, because you have a lot of proof that they don't need to be like that. It's not necessarily a bad thing that they're like that. If you want to play them with a little more edge or rough or even a lot of edge, who am I to judge that? But you can't say that that's how it should be done, because there's a lot of proof, and a lot of good proof, with the best mariachi in the world, playing it counter to that idea, so at least violin wise, is what I'm saying. But I like reacting in a way to what the rhythm gives me, with the section. And so I like to really gloss and paint over what the rhythm section does, and how we're contrasting with the trumpets. And so that's hopefully coming through, in the way that we work. But it's, as a musician, you just try and be creative with it, and some things work and some things don't. And just get used to going back to the drawing board.
Yeah.
So it's fun, and I'm very blessed to be where I'm at, just because of the creative aspects that are always presented every single day.
Wow, that's crazy. I've never thought of it like that, because every time I pick up my instrument, I'm always thinking it needs to be exactly like this, it needs to be exactly like that. But you're right. Like every day we play, it's something different. Wow, I never thought of it that way.
Yeah, you wake up. Essentially, you're the same, and you want to have trying some sort of consistency,
right?
But the reality is that you slept 5 hours one night, you slept 7 hours the next night, you slept 3 hours another night, and then maybe you slept for 10. You wake up, maybe you went to the gym one day, maybe you didn't. I mean, there's so many things that go into the muscle coordination, your exhaustion. There's so many things that can affect how you're feeling that day. Even just an argument with a girlfriend, boyfriend, spouse, your parents, your kids, whatever. So many things can affect that day. It's better just to think in the present, in the moment. And if you have a solid base in your technique, if you have a solid base in your musical foundation, that's what's going to give you the consistency. And then everything else that's human about you, well, that's where the variety comes in, and that's where you just got to say, hey, okay. Same thing with practicing. When you're practicing your instrument, the same thing applies. Right away a lot of times, okay, this rehearsal is not going the way, as a group we wanted it to go, or this rehearsal is not, or a single, somebody practicing on their own, this practice session is not going the way I wanted it to go. So you have some decisions to make. Are you going to force it out over the next, hour and a half or 2 hours? Or are you going to just say, you know what? Let's bring it back. Let's kind of see what the issues are, why this isn't working, and then, be patient with it. Be patient with yourselves. Don't try and force a block into a circle hole, and just be real with it, but be patient with it. A lot of people, when they practice on their own, they just want to force it out. I gotta get this. And that's the totally wrong way to go about it. When you're learning any type of music. And I would say the same thing with mariachi, especially in Texas, where the competition is such an honored pastime now. Musically speaking. Again, we got to go back to, why are we playing music in the first place? And never lose sight of that, whether it's competition or not, because you're still always going to have to rehearse to maintain and to improve yourself. And it's only going to happen with positivity,
Do you ever find that there's so sometimes it benefits in a way to have your emotions take over when you're doing something musical. Sometimes something good comes out of it, something that you weren't expecting, that you wouldn't have been able to accomplish, because if it was just a normal day, you would have just gone about your normal warm-ups, your practices, everything would have been the same. But sometimes when something happens and your emotions just get the best of you, and maybe sometimes something even better or new, creative comes out of you.
Let me ask for some clarification. So, are you, if something happens, are you talking about musically or
emotional? Something not related to the music. Something happened that day. Something just.
I see. Okay, so something emotional in your life,
right,
happened, and then you go to rehearsal, and then I see it. Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
Okay. I've never really thought about that, to tell you the truth. I would imagine the window of opportunity is definitely wide open. Because you have to be careful with emotion. Is kind of what I learned. When you're talking about emotion, if it's negative emotion, chances are your creativity is actually going to dwindle. At least if it's fresh. But if you were to, you would have to be, I would think, very good at channeling that emotion. I think it depends on the type of person you are, really.
Right.
If you're the type of person that can channel emotion into creativity, then definitely the window's open, because you could create something that somebody else can connect with. You know what I mean?
Right.
But if you're the type of person that is perhaps belligerent, or, well, I mean, let's face it. I mean, there are just some people that are not very good at handling their emotions. So a lot of times what I notice with them is that they can either shut down completely and they just blank out and they're just there, playing their instrument, whichever instrument it is, and they can't take their mind off of what happened. You know what I mean? So emotion, like I said, emotion can be a dangerous thing, but it can also be a tool. But one would have to know how to channel that emotion, I guess. So let's say, for instance, if somebody goes to, let's take the two accounts. So you have a person that is not very good at handling their emotions, and something terrible happened that day to them, and then they go to rehearsal. Chances are they're not going to be able to put that aside for the time being. So they're going to be totally enthralled in it. And they're just going to be zombies playing at a rehearsal, spaced out, stressed out. And it's not going to affect their music creatively, but it's just going to pretty much just make them sort of a puppet to just whatever the notes happen to be, and probably miss a lot of details. Now, if you take somebody that's creative and good at focusing emotion, they'll probably more than likely be the type of person to say, hey, you know what? Let me, guys, this just happened today. I'm going to have to miss rehearsal. Just give me a little bit of time. Or they're going to be that, and then they will have time to kind of commit to what has just happened. They can let it process, and then something like that, they could, definitely be able to put that sentiment, that feeling, because they've practiced it, into their interpretation of the music. Or you can have a person that is, which I guess would be more like, in my sense, or what I would think, this person would be able to go straight to rehearsal after something very difficult has happened and actually make the conscious choice to offer that musical activity, I guess, to whatever has happened. So they would be able to apply whatever tragedy has happened to them to what they're actually doing in the music, and it's something that not everybody can do, so I think it's more of a personality question, I think, than anything else. It would be great to give the answer, oh yes, most definitely, but I'm not going to go recommend, every person to go and, try and find drama in your life so that you can be more creative with your music or something like that. You know what I mean? Because it just doesn't work like that for everybody. So you got to be real with the type of person that you are as a musician, anytime really, but especially as a musician, because it's going to directly affect your musicianship. Can you hear my kids yelling?
Oh yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
You're having fun over there, huh?
Oh yeah, they're watching something.
Oh.
I have no idea what they're watching. Oh, that's my daughter. She's become very vocal within the last couple of weeks. So.
Oh.
How old is she now?
She is going to be a year on the 18th.
Oh.
Yeah, so just a few days. Yeah. She'll be 1 year, and then I have another little boy who just turned 3, and then another little boy just turned 5. So
Wow.
full. We're busy, dude. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, I was hoping that you would have time for this, because I know you're a busy guy.
Yeah, it's no, of course, yeah, no, of course, it's good.
But so then, did you grow up in El Paso?
No, so I grew up in Albuquerque, New Mexico. So I was born in Las Cruces. My family is from, my mom's side of the family is from a small town right next to Las Cruces called La Mesa. And so I was born in Las Cruces, and then when I was about 2 years old, we moved up to Albuquerque, New Mexico, and I was there all the way up until 18. And then at 18, and that's how I got involved with the Mariachi conference there in Albuquerque. And then at 18, I moved back down to Las Cruces for college. And then I stayed in that area, Las Cruces and El Paso, for 10 years. For the latter 5 years of that, that's when I was teaching in the public schools there in El Paso. And throughout all those 10 years that I was there, that would have been from 2003 to 2013. I played with Mariachi Los Arrieros del Paso. And then, yeah, 2013 came, and then I hopped it all the way across the country to Orlando. So.
Yeah, Los Arrieros El Paso. I mean, that's a good group. They got some recordings, and multiple members now from Cobre have come from that group, which is that's pretty. That's amazing. It's great. It's just a town in El Paso.
It's been really cool. Yeah, El Paso has a lot of talent, music wise, and really in mariachi. There's a lot of good players that are in El Paso, Texas, and I've had the pleasure to play with many of them, and the community there is very supportive of itself. Ultimately, when a project needs to get done, they'll make it happen, and so that's really cool about El Paso. I loved my time there. I very much pictured myself really being there for a long time. Longer than the 10 years that I spent in that area. So I owe El Paso a lot. I owe Los Arrieros a lot, and I get to play with Omar Olivas. He was in Arrieros, years before I even moved to El Paso, Texas, and so that's how I met him, and I played with him for 2 or 3 years, I guess, and then he went to Mariachi Cobre, and then it was just a few months after that he said there were some auditions coming up. So I went, and at that point I was still a kid. I was maybe 20, I guess. I think, yeah. So so I really didn't know anything. The only other thing I had auditioned for was for college. But and in high school I had an audition. But auditioning for the largest entertainment company in the world, along with one of the best mariachis in the United States, and if not the globe. I just it was something that was very new to me. That aspect of pressure, I guess. So it was more for me a learning experience. So needless to say, at that time, it was not my time, but it taught me a lot. And that's another thing. That a lot of students can learn. When auditioning for stuff. I know that the All-State Mariachi auditions just recently happened. And it's something that you have to learn from an audition. You can't expect to get in the first thing. And if you do, that's great. That's awesome. Everything worked out for you, your practice, and the timing and all of that all came together and worked for you. But it doesn't happen all the time. It doesn't happen all the time. And so I learned a lot from that one. I grew a lot. And then it was good though, because, my wife and I were just newly dating at the time. So, who knows what would have happened with that if I would have just, picked up and left. But yeah, we ended up, getting married. And so, life works out no matter what, so. But yeah, as far as El Paso is concerned, I owe them so much, and I still will chat with some of the guys, from time to time, when life is not too busy, So it's good remembering and reflecting on those times.
I mean, when the time actually came when you auditioned again for Cobre, I mean, did you have some doubts about going? Because I assume by that time you had already established some life. You were married, and did you think like, I don't want to
Yeah.
go?
So, um, you have some doubts, but I think when you really want something, you want something, and my wife was all for it, and so when the next one came around, it was something that we discussed, and she said, if you don't go, you know that you will regret it. And I knew she was right,
Okay.
And it wasn't anything that like I didn't want to, because I did want to. But you're right. You think about all the stuff that you have done in the meantime. Excuse me. We didn't have any kids yet, but we had a home. I was doing really well at my job. Arrieros was going well. And we were looking at starting a family. She was close to her parents there. Um, And it was something that was just like, now I actually am picking up and leaving with her, obviously. But we are actually picking up and leaving quite a bit, not like when I was 20. 20, I didn't hardly even own anything, other than my violin and some clothes and, just a few other things. But so once you have a whole, package to move, yeah, you definitely at least give it the thought, is it something that I should do or should not do? And at that time I was 27 when I got into the group. And, but even still you think, yeah, if I don't do it, this is something that was placed in my heart a long time ago. Just sitting in my room, literally playing Cobre albums like over and over again, and playing, and when I was in high school, I liked playing the violin, but my interest really was the armonia, and so I would just be banging, my vihuela and the guitar in my room, to all the Cobre albums and stuff, and in fact, Robert Martinez, and you know what? I don't think I mentioned him at the beginning. I got to play with him, and of course, he's a legend when it comes to vihuela in mariachi, and the fact that I got to play while he was still in the group was absolutely amazing, and it was just so cool, and it was funny too, because we would give each other a hard time, and I say, hey man, I still have that vihuela that you signed for me. And he'd always get like, nah, just stop bringing that up, stop bringing that up. But yeah, it was something that was placed in my heart very young, and Robert and Randy especially were huge influences in my life at that time because of my love for the armonia section and the rhythms and all that kind of thing. So they had definitely a special place. When I was learning music, I just decided, it's something that without doubt, without question, I gotta go. I have to try, and then whatever happens is whatever happens. And and sure enough, one thing led to another. I think the auditions were in 2012, and then me and some of the others that were some of the other guys that had auditioned, two of the other guys that had auditioned, Cobre offered us an opportunity to go play with them in Las Cruces for the conference. So that year, Cobre had an 8-piece violin section. I think that was that year, and because the three of us and then the five of their normal violins. And
That's a lot.
That was and it was, and it was like an army, and they loved it. It was cool. It was a good experience, I think, for the three of us. So that was really neat that they offered that, and the group, and I think still is, but back then the group was really, sensitive to students and inspiration to others and all that. So I think it was a really good opportunity for the three of us to be able to at least participate in that concert with them. And then in 2000, I think it was just after New Year's when they gave me the call that they wanted to hire me. So needless to say, that was just like. Whew. It's weird. I should remember the day better, but I kind of don't, because it was like I heard that and then it was like everything else was kind of a blur for the next.
It's like winning the lottery for you.
Yeah. It feels very much like that. The turnover rate in this group is so slow. It's going to be a while before the next position, opens up. So. And I was very blessed and very fortunate to be able to have been given the opportunity, to add my piece of Cobre history, to the group. So,
one thing that Cobre has always been really complimented on is the voices. Mm-hmm. The voices are just so worked out, so well. And both Matt and I saw Mariachi Cobre, saw you guys live in Albuquerque Spectacular. And well, I saw you in 2018, the summer of 2018.
Yeah,
And I remember it was weird because Sol de Mexico was also there, and some other groups. But you guys came out with I believe maybe 5 violins, two
yeah,
trumpets, and like three armonia, and that
yeah,
was it. That
Yeah.
was it.
yeah,
Nine
yep,
piece group, and Sol
yep,
with their 15 members or whatever. But the thing with Cobra is everybody sang, and
Yeah.
that's just
yeah.
such a different thing for these like high level top groups because like, I mean, the top of the top is like Cobre, Camperos, Vargas, No Te Cargan Sol.
Hmm.
And but the thing with Cobre is everybody sings,
Yep.
Yeah.
like Guitarron and everybody. And so one thing that I've heard with Cobre being there at Disney is that you guys still have to take I don't know, it's mandatory probably is, but like voice lessons and violin lessons with a specific instructor.
No, it's not. It's not mandatory. But we do. I mean, we do. How can I say? Encourage the guys to keep up their studies. If it's not something weekly or, that's okay. But and even some of us that are more gifted at our instrument than at our voice, we'll help out the guys that are more gifted at their voice and their instrument, and we help each other out in that aspect again because we're with each other every day, so we're always just trying to bring the best out of each other. And so I try and keep my critiques positive and useful. And I think that's the culture of the group. Essentially, is our critiques of each other are supposed to be positive and are supposed to be useful. And the thing is when I first got to the group, I was actually the last member to be able to take lessons with their vocal coach, Manny Lujan, before he passed away, and that opened up a lot of stuff for me, a new way of thinking about voice, because I was never really much of a singer, and nor am I a soloist. I don't consider myself a soloist. I enjoy singing some trios and some duets, but my place. I like my place with the group and keeping things together. That's just what I really like to do. That's fun for me. Um, but as far as like vocally, we all warm up in the morning. For the most part, we all warm up in the morning. We try and get in some individual practice, and we're always coming back to our playing. So if we feel ourselves individually, I'm speaking, if we feel ourselves a little loose, we'll say, okay, it's time to come back to we'll never just let anything just get out of control, lazy or that kind of thing. But over the time, I know a lot of the guys have taken lessons with various individuals, or when we go out and play orchestra concerts. We'll sit with one of the members of the symphony, or if not the concertmaster himself or herself, and pick their brain at least a little bit. It's something for us. Because it's every day. We have to keep ourselves in it mentally and learning.
I think that helps a lot because even if you guys show up with like 3 violins and all y'all sound so full on everything, voices
Thank you,
and playing.
thank you, thank you. Yeah, and that's what we strive for. If you can get a good tone from your instrument, that's gonna go so far, like so far. Which is why I stress, especially at the competitions.
Yeah.
There was one experience that I had at a competition where they had like 7 or 8 violins. It was huge, but I almost couldn't hear anything
Yeah.
because of the extreme amount of pressure they were putting down. So there's a point when that pressure and the bow movement don't balance out, and you get more.
Muffles the sound maybe, or
Yeah, and the violin can't carry out
doesn't
what
resonate. Yeah.
it's supposed to do. It doesn't resonate, and it's unfortunate because they're putting so much into it and getting so little out of it. And this has nothing to do with getting an edgy sound. This has nothing to do even with rasp. I mean, this was seriously like over the top. I mean, just shocking. So you have to be careful with what level of musicians you're working with, and and what you're aiming at musically, but especially because we're every single day, as far as technique, I'm, position, okay, yeah, and all that stuff, but more along the lines of actual the playing of the technique. So generating a healthy tone, intonation, if you play in tune and your harmonies are in tune within the violin section, your sound is going to carry more. If you clash more, your sound is going to carry less because just the frequencies can't match,
Right.
so they're just going to crash and burn a lot sooner, and the health of the sound will go down. So you can do so much with so little, and that's kind of our aspect because, in all honesty, with our gig, we won't last, this is for us. This is an extremely long haul, especially during the
Right.
summer
Yeah.
when we're,
Yeah,
it's
it's
out.
hot.
Oh man, yeah. There's no way that we could do what a lot of these groups do and survive, so that's where the technique comes in,
Yeah. Well, what about the fact that you guys are playing like outside? You'll take the environment to fact too, and maybe that might be why some people overplay because they try to get that sound out since they're
It could
outside.
be. It could be. And that's the thing. Anything done by force is going to be something that's not going to be great in the end.
Right.
And that's something that I guess maybe you can learn in time.
Mm-hmm.
But with us playing outside in the elements, having to take into account that every single day, sometimes it's the temperature's 90 and the humidity's 90, so it feels like 110 or whatever the heck, you're pretty much in the deep end of a hot tub,
Mm-hmm.
and it affects the intonation, it affects how far the sound carries. And then you never know, especially when you get to this time of year. One day it's like ridiculously humid, and then the next day it's not. And then the instruments are still trying to adjust. I mean, even if you just think about the guitarrones and the pegs, and all that kind of stuff. And
Yeah.
I mean, and then of course the violins are very delicate too, and it's having to deal with that. And again, it comes back to making the best soup out of it. I always try and tell my guys, especially in the violin section, because we don't have frets, so we can adjust ourselves. Listen, don't just assume you're playing in tune. Actually listen to see how your part is molding with the other harmonies and also with the person that is sharing your part. So I think all those things are good things for students to be aware of as well.
So what I'm interested in is what is a typical week for Cobre there in Disney?
So what we do is we play 5 days a week. Right now we are we are Thursday through Monday. And then we actually participate in a marimba trio on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. And so that actually covers music from all over Latin America and stuff. So that's our Armonia section. And then Steve will also play guitar on that. And then I've also played guitar on that as well. And that's kind of a cool little trio. But as far as the full group, Mariachi Cobre, we have our 5 days that we're there. Depending on what schedule's rolling out, we have 6 or 7 shows a day. And right now we're playing on the American Garden stage. So it's different for us in the Disney sense because we're used to playing, in our under our little porch area in the Mexico Pavilion. But now that we're on the stage, it was kind of cool because people who have never seen mariachi on a stage now get to see it on a stage, and it's just it blows them away. They've never seen anything like that, so that's pretty cool. And then the good thing for us is we're very familiar with the stage, so it's not like it was anything new for us to have to do, so it was really the best of both worlds. And for us, it's a cool change, for the time being. And it's pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome to be able to, especially for us to be able to see our fans get to see us in a new in a new way also, and get to hear us perform and in that way, because it's just a totally different environment, you know. And we still try. We miss the intimacy of being very close to them. So we still try and do that with them. You know, as far as you know, maybe sing them mañanitas or dedicate a song to a couple celebrating an anniversary or something like that. So we still try and keep that intimate feel with them, because you know, it's something that's very special to us. You know, the group has been with the company now for 38 years, and that I think is due to the quality and the demeanor of the group and the relationship of the group, not just with the company but with the guests and with the fans.
That is, and did you all ever before, when you were still under the under the porch in the area,
Mm-hmm.
have some people, you know, just got say requests, but some crazy
Oh yeah,
crazy songs.
yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. We get requests, and you know, we'll try and honor as many of them as we can. You know, but being a rehearsed group, we're not going to throw anything out that's not ready. But we definitely try and honor everything that we can, for sure, which is a lot. And the kind of the cool thing about this group is our songbook just can get very big, you know. So I mean, so that's why you hear, especially and pacing wise too, because we can't just sing everything, you know. So you'll hear us play a lot of polkas and a lot of instrumentals and you know, so we get to do kind of that and really have them nicely rehearsed, and a lot of things that many mariachis don't have the opportunity to do. So we're very fortunate that we can still play a lot of that music, you know. That's very good music.
Yeah.
So
I mean, you guys play a lot in Disney. I mean, every day, all those shows a day. But you've also done gigs, you know, out in Texas, out of Arizona. I mean, could you compare the two? See which one tired you out more, or which one tires you out more? Your days when you did gig, were you doing it like a lot, full time kind of?
okay, understood. I think it's a different kind of tired
Yeah.
in both cases. I remember playing gigs, you know, especially a full day of gigs. I remember Mother's Day.
Yeah.
You know, that's whew, you know, so that might be the worst, actually.
Yeah.
Back when I was playing gigs, but you know, here it's a lot of it is just it's the temperature and the humidity that'll kind of get to you, you know. So it's when you get home, you know, in the summer, you're more just tired out, more mainly because of that, you know, just the temperature and the heat. But you're satisfied after work, you know, and it's you know, you just feel good coming into your home, and there's some nice AC going on, and you know, and then you can just kind of shed that off, and then just relax a little bit, you know. Um, but but yeah, I would say it's just a different kind of tired. There's a lot of walking involved, you know, going from our dressing room and then going to our performance area, that kind of thing, you know, and we're in our traje all day long, whether we're playing or not. You know, so it's kind of a different vibe for sure, but I would say, if anything, it's more the climate, I think, that tires you out at the end of the day than anything else. Yeah.
Yeah, that sun will drain you.
Right. Yeah. It's a lot. It's a lot, especially when, you know, when you're singing, or if we do like a heavy vocal show. You know, if there tends to be like a larger crowd or something, you know, that'll definitely take more energy from the group. You know, so it just kind of depends on the combination of the elements for that day. You know, because I did notice, you know, the times, you know, back when we were over in the Mexican Pavilion, on the rainy days. So we're a group that our shows are, at least then, our shows were never down ever, because we had an inside performance area and an outside performance area. So if it did rain, we would go to our indoor performance area. And I noticed on those days, the exhaustion at the end of the day was significantly less. You know, so I mean, you just get home the regular tired you would after a full day of work or something like that. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's definitely the heat and the humidity that'll cause that. Yeah, for sure.
So you don't miss those Mother's Day gigs?
You know, there's something to be said for the good old Mother's Day gigs. I mean, I remember the chunk of change I pulled in after one of those weekends. You know, that was pretty nice. But yeah, but wow, they're nice memories. They're nice memories. You know, sleeping in cars and sometimes just like rolled up like enchiladas on one of the dude's beds. You know, just like try and like sleep maybe like an hour and a half or something before you got to get up next in your traje. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I like remembering them.
Yeah. It can get a lot. I remember my boss this past Mother's Day had to limit the amount of gigs we had. He's actually a huge fan of you guys, by the way.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, he auditioned.
You guys
for
know him
Cobre.
a little bit. I mean, Omar took his spot.
Yeah.
It was around the same time. They auditioned the same time, and Randy was really interested. His name is Adolfo Ortiz. And,
yeah.
You know Adolf. And but Omar happened to audition at the same time.
Yeah.
But Randy was like telling Adolf, because Adolf was happened to be at Disney. He's like, I mean, just send in your tapes. I mean, we want you. Just send in your tapes, and we'll let you know. And then Adolf says, a year passed. I didn't hear nothing. And then I see Omar. And then Adolf goes back to Disney, and Randy's doing that thing where he's hiding his face. And he doesn't want to see him. But he's like, no, I'm sorry, man. I mean, just Omar auditioned the same time, and Adolf was like, no, I mean, it's fine. I mean, Omar's much better singer than I am, and he was just happy to audition.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's an experience. It really is a good experience to audition for anything, really, Mm-hmm. And the thing is it's an interesting gig, and interesting in the sense that it's so unlike any type of musician job that you could have, because it's, first of all, it's during the day, you're not playing from like 9 to 2 a.m. Mm-hmm. It's consistent, and it's just, it's a blessing being able to see, people, with their families and just experiencing, the time of their lives, really, and so it's like I said, I mean, we as a group feel very blessed to be part of where we're at, and to be performing how we perform, and it's one of those things where why somebody wouldn't audition for it and try for it if it's something that you've always wanted, even if there's the possibility of failure. This goes for anything, just the experience itself. Even after my first one that didn't go through, I mean, I just felt like a different person afterwards, and so I could actually go into teaching with that experience and being able to share that with my students. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And it's one of those things where that's life. It takes you where it takes you, and as long as you don't fight against it, you'll have a lot more joy, because either way, tomorrow's coming, and it's either gonna drag you along, or you can just roll with it.
We have a little bit of experience. I mean, we both auditioned, Texas State Mariachi our freshman year, and I mean, both of us were lucky enough to make it our freshman year. And I mean, Texas State is a big university group, very popular, successful group. So I mean, but after the audition, I think both of us, we were like, nah, we're not gonna make it, because the results don't come out till about a day later. But then after making it, it was it was an amazing experience, really. We did a lot of tours. We did this West Coast tour our freshman year. We played in Las Vegas and LA, San Francisco, played for all these schools. And it just kind of opened up stuff for me, because I had never done anything like that in high school in mariachi.
Yeah, same here. It opened up a lot of experiences. I remember actually I met you through Texas State Mariachi one year when I think you played with us a couple of songs. We did Tres Huastecas. And,
Oh yeah, yeah,
and
yeah, 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 yeah.
I got the opportunity because I'm a vihuela player. I actually got the opportunity to play alongside you for the Soli.
Holy
And
smokes,
yeah,
dude!
and I remember it, man. I look at
I
you
didn't
and you're
recognize you
jamming.
with your beard.
Oh, yeah.
He has a beard now.
Yeah.
Very different.
I got a little cold, so I had to.
Yeah, cool.
But I remember looking at you and you're jamming. You're like, yeah, and I'm like, yes, this is awesome. So it definitely was an awesome experience, and I'm glad it took me there. To be honest, so
Yeah. No, that was fun. That was
Yeah.
that was fun for us, most definitely.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really cool to place you now like that, because I was like, there was a like the familiarity, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
All right, yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't sure you were gonna remember, but yeah, I remember you were there, and Steve Carrillo hitting those high A's, man. And
Yeah, man.
fun.
Yeah, it was something that was really cool. That was really cool for us, and because was that was for Region Festival?
I believe so. Yeah, it was Mariachi Vargas Extravaganza in the Fort Worth area.
Oh, okay,
In
okay,
Fort
okay.
Worth, and I think that's what it was. They have like a competition yearly that goes
Okay.
on, and you guys were giving some clinics.
Okay,
that year.
okay. And so it was. So I mean, and, you know, that's the thing that really we enjoy, because I know all the groups enjoy, or I'm sorry, all the members of the group enjoy educational outreach. You know,
Mhm.
and you can see it, I think, in the care that they take. You know, when they teach, like for instance, you know, I think this is out there now. The Las Cruces International Mariachi Conference is going to be going virtual this year.
Yes.
And so they've asked me to head the workshops for that. And, you know, and so there, the guys are, you know, going to be live instructing, you know, for the students, which I think is a really a testament, because it's going to be something new, especially for a lot of the older guys who are used to live classes, you know, but the interest was there because we like student outreach, and it's because of moments like that, you know what I mean? Because like with experiences like that, that's how you get the next generation to come.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, for instance, like I learned from members of Mariachi Cobre, I learned from members of Mariachi Sol de Mexico, I learned from members of Mariachi Vargas, and especially through the conferences. And through those experiences, then, you know, you generate this pool of talent who just loves it, and you know, you can just keep the motor going.
Yeah.
You know, and so, and it's and sometimes it can be through classes, sometimes it can be through personal experiences like yours. You know, and so now look what you're doing. You know, you guys have started a podcast specifically for mariachis, and to talk about, you know, anything and everything about the experiences of different players and or teachers, or, you know, and, you know, that's really cool and innovative, because nobody's done it the way you guys are doing it, you know. So, you know, who knows if that would have happened had you not had the experience. I'm not saying that one experience, but throughout all of the different experiences that you've had, you know, you guys are now doing this.
Yeah.
You know,
For sure.
So that's cool.
Yeah, for sure. I was very thankful because, you know, looking back, it was very inspirational and motivating for me. I will never forget that. So, yeah.
That's
thank you.
good. That's awesome. That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I also met you once before. Well, we talked one-on-one, but this was Albuquerque, summer 2018. But it was during a jam session where I kept bugging you about the violin. I was like, hey, how do you do this? Or you do this? Or because I was also asking you about your YouTube videos, your violin stuff, which you haven't posted in a while. You're like, yeah, I'll start again. And that was like 2 years ago.
Yeah, that was like yeah. It was my hope was to get out a bow class, and that's still my hope to this day. But I just keep on having more kids, man. You know.
Yeah.
So, but actually, that is something that I am seriously wanting to do. I just kind of have to get over the fact that I can't do it in the full format that I used to do it. I used to spend some time on those videos, putting in a lot of post editing and I think now because I still want to continue that, I'm just gonna have to just simplify and just do, just hey, throw the iPad or the iPhone on the music stand. Look, this, and this.
Mhm.
That's it. Boom, post.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's and again, we like those personal experiences with student outreach, and that's one thing that this group has always done. This Mariachi Cobre was the group that founded the Tucson International Mariachi Conference. They started that because they wanted to reach out to students, and and that pattern continued to this day. They had the San Jose conference, and then of course Las Cruces for years. And look, now we're back in Las Cruces again. And like I said, it's all because of not just the classroom, but the personal interactions that we get to have with the students and with the directors. And the thing is that if you come up to any one of the guys, it doesn't matter if it's after hours or not. If you have a question for us, we're glad to answer. And I can say that 100% from any of the guys. They will gladly answer. Because we just like to share. So
That's awesome.
hopefully I was helpful
Yeah.
to your questions.
No, yeah. We talked for a bit, but and I don't remember whatever it was late. It was like 1 a.m.
Yeah, it was very late.
The
No,
jam
I
session
wasn't.
kinda
I wasn't up at 1 a.m.
Oh no, you're in your hotel room. So it must have been somebody else.
Yeah, but us mariachis, we're so used to being out late, especially during Albuquerque for some reason. They always have to.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, it's fun, and it really stems from the fact that we love what we do. We love the music. We love to play. We love to share that interaction with each other. And it like it's funny because jazz, believe it or not, is very similar. Because you can get a bunch of jazz musicians, and they can, get a song from the real book, and or basically, let me restate. So you can get a jazz combo, and they know there's some very basics in the jazz repertoire, and let's say Autumn Leaves, for instance, and they could take that to whatever part of the country, and it might have a different flair, or they might have a different, but they could literally play that on all four corners of the United States. You know what I mean? And same thing with mariachi. There might be a new lick that you learn. Oh man, we don't play that lick. Cool. What is that? Or whatever. But the body of the song, then the lyrics of the song essentially don't change much, and so you can very easily play with somebody that has grown up 2,000 miles away from you. And so that's that's one of those things. So I mean, that's why those nights get very long, because it's just so fun to share that with other people, and it's just so amazing that you can do that with somebody that you've never even met, and and then you realize, whoa, okay, there's another song that we can play, and here's another song that we can play. Oh, and here's another song that we can play, and then I don't know this next song, but let me just follow this guy. He looks like he knows it pretty good.
Yeah.
And then later on, then you can go find a recording of it and say, oh wow, okay, yeah, cool. So all of those personal encounters, with teaching, and that's why I think for Steve and I to be able to go out and have those personal encounters on behalf of the group, because we can't just take the group out of Disney every 2 weeks.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So to be able to go on representing the group, it's awesome, because ultimately the entire group really likes to have those encounters, and which is why we decided to try and do something really innovative and fun, with the live Las Cruces workshops, and So that's something. Hopefully people will be interested in. That's November, I think 9 through the 14th. I think it's on Facebook. But yeah, there'll be different schedules of different classes and stuff, and it's not going to be typically workshops are all day long and all that stuff. I mean, the reality is that we can't do that, nor would it be. The kids are in school, and it's hard enough as it is. But this is just another element, to kind of supplement even some of the education that's going on, and could be a great deal of help. So, I mean, we as much as we love performing, we love student outreach, most definitely.
Oh, that's awesome.
We have a good amount of younger listeners, and by that I mean 18 through like 26, I guess is our most popular. But so you mentioned how you were basically a first generation, professional mariachi in your family. And with these big groups, I mean, especially Vargas, Nota Calilan, it's like they're born into it, because
Right.
they have generations of family that do mariachi. So coming from, I mean, not having that in your family, what do you think it takes to get into that, to a group like that, like Cobre, like Vargas? I mean, how much did you prepare yourself? When did you feel like, I'm ready, I can go play with this group?
I think the best thing to think about is, first of all, never lose sight of who you are. Always be yourself. Because the moment you start trying to be not yourself is the moment that you're going to, if you make it into the group, then you're going to have to continue this lie, and that's not going to be fair to yourself. And you can run yourself into the ground easy that way. So I think the best thing is to never lose sight of who you are. You learned music how you learned music. You got into the mariachi culture how you got into the mariachi culture. It's funny because I really, talent will only take you so far, and hard work will only take you so far, and all of the timing will only take you so far, but all these things need to work together. And through the grace of God, you get to where you're at. And so it's one of those things where you just kind of know. It's almost, I can almost say, like, how did I know that I wanted to marry my wife? I just knew. You just, and you just go for it. You go for the chance and then see what comes of it. So you have to be somewhat of the experimental type. You have to be willing to fail, first of all. So I think that's very important. But again, the honesty of who you are. You have nothing to be ashamed of how you have come about. So a lot of people think of the Selena story, right? Or if you've seen the movie Selena, right? You're not, you're not American enough for the Americans, and you're not Mexican enough for the Mexicans. And so for like me, all of the things that lined up in my life probably shouldn't have happened. Okay. So like, as far as growing up, I grew up in essentially white suburbia. I grew up predominantly English speaking. Um, and as far as even understanding Spanish didn't happen for me until much later in my life. I grew up playing in orchestra. I grew up playing in a rock band. I grew up playing in a lot of different like jazz ensembles. I played in a country group. But see, all of these things make me who I am, which is what was valuable to Cobre at that specific time. Okay? So it's nothing that, in other words, I don't think people should try, or young musicians should try and be what they think that group wants, if it's not them. They need to be able to honestly offer themselves. And if it's right for the group at that specific time, like me. I auditioned for Cobre 3 different times, and the first 2 times were learning experiences for me. It wasn't necessarily that I wasn't ready. It could have been maybe the first time, but it's again, there's a timing for everything, and what you have to offer. And the thing is that all of that stuff has to work out, And so if you don't get into a group like that, you can't say, oh, well, it's because there's something wrong with me. No, there's absolutely nothing wrong with you. You don't have to invalidate your history. You don't have to invalidate the way you learned. You don't have to invalidate the way you play, because there's nothing wrong with it, and so you can't base yourself off of a group's perspective. I had my gifts, and I had my faults, and I had my way of viewing music, and that is what made me how I interact with people musically. And for whatever reason at that time, it just, I was the best fit, and so that's kind of where I think young musicians especially, really need to just be real with themselves. Don't try to fit. Obviously, I'm not going to go into an audition and go play, The Devil Went Down to Georgia or something for a mariachi for a mariachi audition. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to play something that's okay. Well, this guy knows how to interpret. This guy knows how to do all that kind of thing. But I'm not going to go into an audition thinking that I know what they want to hear, so I'm going to try and aim. I'm just going to play like me. And if they think they can work with that, then that's fantastic. You know what I mean? And so that's kind of at least my opinion when it comes to something like that. Um, and it provides for, again, a little breath of fresh air and open mindedness and different abilities that can help lead to a more creative group in interpretation, even if it's interpreting even a traditional piece. It's not going to necessarily fall outside the mariachi spectrum, but it'll have another essence to it that wouldn't be there for somebody who was just like straight up. And there's nothing wrong with somebody that was just grown into that, because that's also very honest. But I think ultimately people can tell when somebody's being honest about the musician that they are, or if they're just faking. Which is why one of the reasons why I can't stand, and I'll be very blunt and honest with this, is when people try and fake the estilo viejo or whatever that is, because they don't sound like that. Like if you actually go to a Huasteca country and hear a violinist, he sounds awesome, because like he grew up in that. You know what I mean? And he's not trying to create, oh, look, they sound scratchy here, and they do this, they're slightly out of tune. You know what I mean? Like they just do that, so it's honest. And so that's what makes it alive. So do you want to be a puppet musician, or do you want to be a musician that's alive? I guess is where I call my. And so honestly, if it means that you don't get led to a quote unquote professional mariachi, whatever, you'll still be a lot happier, by being honest with the type of musician that you are. You'll get it's all about fulfillment. Again, that's what music is about, and you never want to lose that aspect of it.
Yeah,
I have a sorry if I ramble, man. All the guys give me a hard time because they're just like, man, you let Joe talk, he'll just go.
No, it's interesting how you say that, because we get a lot of musicians that actually do that. They're like, you got to play it this way, or they want to play it a certain way to make a certain sound, depending on the song. Maybe something like Marucumbia Viejo, you got to play it this way, just like the people did back, on the rancho.
Yeah, and it's like, well, how do you accomplish that not having grown up on the rancho?
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? How do you really accomplish that? Like, how do you really do that? How is that possible? Now there are certain traits and certain feels and again, it all is a matter of taste, right? When it comes down to it, but I prefer honesty, and I can tell when something is not natural, and I can tell when something is, because it just flows out, you know. So, like I said, I mean, when you're interpreting a piece of music, and you say, oh, you know what, but they tend to do, okay, well, you're going to stylize some things here and there, but some things just don't come out. I think, and I think again, if you have to force something, you're never going to get the best result or the most creative result. And so that's kind of where I stand musically. I love honesty, and I can spot it on a stage, like, and in all honesty, and honesty is on a stage is something that I can respect, and I enjoy watching, even if it's not something that I necessarily prefer. I can still watch it and be like, damn, they nailed that, you know.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's cool. And like going back to the competitions in Texas, I mean, it's amazing how good they get these groups, man. I mean, it's like, and I mean, that's a lot of rehearsal. That's a lot of time. That's a lot of effort on behalf of the directors and the students. It's shocking how tight, they get these kids.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that honesty that comes out, again, regardless of whether or not I would listen to that in my car or whether I would listen to it on my headphones, a lot of it I would not. But what touches me is the honesty behind it and the execution of it. It doesn't matter if I necessarily prefer it musically or not. But what I appreciate about it, and what's makes me so happy about it and excites me about it, is the honesty that they're laying it all out there. And at that point it's not trying. They're just saying, look at what we've worked so hard to put together.
Right.
And I think if more groups did that, I think a lot of them would choose different music, because a lot of groups choose music that some of the other groups are choosing, but they're not necessarily ready for some of that stuff, and it's not suiting to their personality. You can tell that it's like mimicking what they think is going to get them the trophy, or what they think is going to get them the high score.
Right.
And it's unfortunate, because there's so many groups that I feel like could have gotten some of those top positions, but musically we can't, because there was just too much. They were falling short in too many areas where they just weren't pulling it off. There's a lot that goes into judging those competitions. But I think, I mean, other than just a parent who would just love seeing their kid perform anyway, the general ear is not going to catch a lot of stuff. But professional musicians, who play on a day-to-day basis, I guess, well, or maybe I can't speak for everybody, but at least for myself, I think I love music because I love honesty. I think it lays out who the person is in a lot of ways. Not everything about them, but I think it lays out a lot of who they are when there's that. And I think that is actually what speaks to people. And it has nothing to do with whether or not I like this guy's interpretation better than this guy's. It's the fact that in that moment, in that present moment, that person is being them, and it's working. That's it.
That's that's the most important thing you can really do in life. I mean, your job, like, neither of us actually are music majors. I mean, I'm
Okay.
an industrial engineering major. Matt, what do you do?
Exercise and sports science. I'm majoring
There you
in
go.
that. So
Cool.
yeah.
Yeah, man.
And,
Yeah.
like, people always ask, because, Matt's graduating December. I'm graduating next semester. What are you going to do? Well, where do you want to, or what are you going to do? I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I don't really know. I don't know, because I haven't really gone through, what being an engineer is. So I can't
Right.
really say where I would be happy, where some companies would require you to do certain things that you just don't
Right.
want to do.
Yep.
Even though it
Yep.
might be an amazing job. I mean, Apple, Google, or something, but it's just, you won't be happy because it's not who you are.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think that's kind of the thing. You take it day by day, and you don't have to get stressed out about not knowing everything about your future. And that's really the thing, that I would tell any student is that, what music major or not, in fact, when I was teaching, I would actually start out the first day or first couple of days. At some point, I would say essentially this. I would say, I understand that not everybody here will continue music for the rest of their lives. I said, but I'm going to teach you as if you were going to. And that will help prepare you for whatever it is you are going to do. And so the more they were in my class, the more they would learn that they wouldn't know what was going to happen. And so why even really worry about it? Your goal right now is to graduate, and probably sometime in the meantime, you're going to be, looking for interesting job prospects, and okay, this seems interesting. This seems interesting. But again, it's like what I was saying before about the audition. You're not going to know until you know. So then, judge yourself with fair eyes. A year from now, when you have your first job, you're like, man, could I have gotten a better job? You're not being fair to yourself if you ask those type of questions. Can you get a better job? Well, maybe. But you know what? This was a good point to be at. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of the best thing I think, and I'm sure that learning music is what kind of helped you guys grow as individuals. I'm sure that has a huge impact. In fact, I'm certain that it has a huge impact on how you guys even think, even whether you know it or not, about your current fields of study. Because you've had experiences, you've had musical experiences, you've had to work with a group, you've had to um, work with tight deadlines or under pressure, or the performance pressure.
Mm-hmm.
You've had all of those experiences. There's whereas somebody that's an engineer or somebody that's into fitness and health science might typically, a lot of them might not have those experiences, so they're not going to have that type of thing. So you can even look into either of you. I mean, for sure, both of you guys are going to be really comfortable in front of people,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's having to. Obviously, I mean, look, you're even putting yourselves out there with the show. So that's something that is a huge trait that is going to be extremely valuable to either of you in either of your careers. That comfort in speaking with people, and that comfort with being in front of people, that comfort of, and not only that, but having to do that under pressure as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
That's actually come across over my years with engineering. Because engineering, you have to work with teams. It's just required. I mean, that's how engineering works. And presentations, speaking in front of people. And so many people, even now, that also in my same field, same year as me and everything, they're so scared of presenting, of being up front, of talking in front of people. And me, even if I'm not 100% confident of what I'm going to say or what I'm doing, I do this every week, go perform for people in front of them, people staring at me while I sing and play. So just giving a presentation in front of classmates or a teacher just doesn't put that much. I guess I'm just used to it, used to that kind of pressure,
right,
those eyes on me from
right,
music, from performing.
yeah, exactly. It's interesting because as a teacher, you have to be comfortable in front of people, and of course, I've been performing music, for years, and you get comfortable in front of people. But just lately, now that we're on the larger stage, with mics and such, and Omar and I do a lot of the trading of the emceeing and stuff like that, and you just kind of have to be again honest, willing to put it out there. For at least speaking for myself, I'm not a trained MC, but what I do is, again, honesty. That's always the best approach. And what I like is intimacy. So I try and make those connections, even if it's from the stage to, you know, um, 20 feet away, and just bring them up there with me, and that's my experience. And that's what I try and bring into a classroom, and all of that, and it's something that it's just such a strong skill to have. If performing music, see, because performing music is in some ways a lot more honest than even acting, and a lot more honest than even. I mean, I guess maybe sports in a way, but see that with sports, typically you're interacting with the other team.
Right.
But with music, per se, you're literally putting yourself on a platter to an audience, and it's as simple as that.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can feel comfortable being uncomfortable, I would always tell my students this, then that's going to make you that much stronger of a person.
Right.
To feel comfortable being uncomfortable. When that it takes a lot of strength to be vulnerable and keeping your cool. Because that brings patience. There's a lot of virtues that come with that, or that can come with that. Let's put it that way. But you have to be willing to be that person on the stage and off the stage.
Yeah.
Because the worst thing that sometimes a dream killer is just you have a performer that you love, and then you have an interaction with them, and they just what I mean. They just pretty much throw you out like yesterday's garbage, and and that's not an experience that is healthy, for anybody. So you definitely want to be the same person, in essence, I guess. Never lose yourself, whether you're on the stage or off the stage,
We're coming towards the end here, but so I just want to say one thing. Mariachi Cobre started in 1971, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the 50th anniversary is coming up next year.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So
dude, you better not ask me what I think you're going to ask me.
the $1 million question. When's the next album coming out?
There it is.
Come on. You've been getting that question for 25 years.
I should have known better. I should have sent you an email before. Don't ask this question. No, you know what? Right now we are, this whole thing really threw off a lot. The COVID threw off. It threw the whole. Obviously it threw the whole world.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. So that really messed a lot of stuff up for us. And because this year was supposed to look a whole lot different for us than what it was, and right now we're extremely happy that we're back at work, and like I said, our greatest love is playing for people and making people happy there at the park, and to see our guests come up, and it's amazing the stories they tell us, how we affect them, and we love that. But like I was saying before, I mean that this is just this affected this year in such a way that was just completely unforeseen by anybody, and unfortunately that put a damper on stuff. It's something that we are still at this point now, because it's not just us, but even recording studios and stuff. I mean, they're feeling all this stuff too, and so we've been able to do a few different projects, but that's essentially our priority is right now is just getting a studio album ready. But that's something that I don't want to say it's a little bit above my pay grade, to talk fully about, but. I know speaking with Steve and with Omar, we know that question is there, and we know that question has been there for a long time. And so that as far as a group project is really our top priority right now. But it's amazing though how hard it can be. And now this really throws it even worse. It's hard. How do I say it? I guess it's amazing how many things need to align, especially like with us, because we work the full-time job essentially, and then a lot of us have, especially now that we're getting younger, a lot of us have our kids and all that kind of thing. So trying to get the organization of it together can be a monster in and of itself. but it's something that we definitely know cannot wait too much longer, and is something that we definitely are looking at with the highest of priorities, because we want to do it too. We have so much material, dude. I mean, in all honesty, we can. We have enough material for probably like 5 or 6 discs. In all honesty, you know what I mean. If not more. I mean, if not more. So that's not the issue. But there's just so much that goes into making it, and within the quality and the history of the recordings of this group, that's what we wanted to. That's where we wanted to hit. Because if you look at the quality of the the past 3 CDs, and then of course the one with the Boston Pops Orchestra, where I think there's 2 tracks on that. The recording quality is very high. And actually, this is out there now. The vocal group Voctive. We also collaborated with them as well, and that was just a few months ago. So we're always active. It's funny, we're always active, but for us to actually bring something together, for the group itself, we want to do it justice, especially because it is the 50th year. We want to do the group justice as far as the recording, how it's done, the song selection, and we want it to fall in line within the quality of the history. I know the younger guys feel this way too, within the history of the previous 3 discs, because they're just so well done. So.
Yeah, well, that's exciting. I'm excited.
Yeah. So just yes. Remember, patience is a virtue.
for sure.
Patience is a virtue. Yeah.
I waited long enough. I wasn't even born when the last album came. But no, I mean, it's been amazing having you. I mean, thank you for taking the time.
Yes, thank you very much.
Do this.
Oh no, it was a pleasure, guys. I'm glad that you guys are doing this. It's really neat. It is really cool to see some young guns, kind of creating sort of a bridge between students, teachers, professionals, and just getting the honest, day to day, especially because a lot of times the professional light can look so glamorous and stuff, and we're normal people, I mean, we're making it like everybody else, yeah, making it happen.
This has been episode 15 of Los Mariachi Sagas. Go like Joe Baca's Facebook page, Mariachi Cobre's Facebook page, and be sure to buy their new album whenever it comes up.
Check it out, guys.
I'll see you guys. All right, bye.
See y'all.
All right, bye, guys.
Mariachi Sagas.